of the presentation. No, you have all the required equipment on the side of your chair. Alors, pour ceux qui ne parlent pas anglais, donc il y a de la traduction simultanée dans la salle pour bien vous faire comprendre des traducteurs et qu'ils puissent traduire dans l'autre langue. On vous demande quand vous vous adresserez, il y a une période de questions à la fin des présentations. Et quand vous vous adresserez votre question, donc, simplement appuyez sur le bouton rouge qui sont sur la table au niveau de...
Alors, bonjour à toutes et à tous. Ce sera une session bilingue. Désolée. Désolée. N'oubliez pas, vos casques d'écoute sont dans les chaises près de vous.
On va attendre que ça, j'en parle. Bon, elle parle en français.
Il va falloir que je parle dans le micro. Est-ce que vous m'entendez? Alors, on reprend. C'est la fin de journée. Bon, mon introduction, je l'ai oubliée. Mais en fait, c'est un grand plaisir de vous accueillir et de, vous présenter deux expertises qui visent à s'assurer que les connaissances sont utilisées au profit de nos enfants, des familles, et que ces connaissances et ces expertises diverses puissent soutenir la collaboration. On en a parlé, on vient d'entendre Mme Doquette il y a quelques minutes. Donc, c'est vraiment dans cet esprit, bien noblement, qu'on vous présente un projet qui est tout nouveau, un nouveau partenariat qui, pour nous, permet de répondre à ces questions de collaboration. Donc, très rapidement, je me présente Isabelle Vinet, 4 ans. Et I will leave you, Peter.
Bonjour. My name is Peter Dixon. I'm sorry my French is very bad, and my New Zealand accent is very strong. So hopefully I'm easy to understand.
Alors, Isabelle Vinet, je suis directrice exécutive de l'Encyclopédie sur le développement des jeunes enfants, qui est un projet soutenu par deux universités, l'Université Laval à Québec, Canada, et l'Université de Montréal, mais qui regroupe de l'information sur le développement de l'enfant en plusieurs chapitres différents et qui, donc, vous allez le voir, traduite en 5 langues. Peut-être plusieurs d'entre vous connaissent déjà cette encyclopédie. Peut-être pour la petite histoire de l'encyclopédie, le but de l'encyclopédie est de transmettre, de transférer, de partager les savoirs, les meilleures informations. Elle est construite d'une manière très précise où on demande aux meilleurs chercheurs, en fait à plein de chercheurs dans le monde, sous un angle bien précis, d'inviter des auteurs à écrire de courts textes scientifiques qui sont revus par les pairs et de nous donner la meilleure information qui est constamment mise à jour. Donc, cet outil qui est en ligne, libre d'accès, qui regroupe près de 600 auteurs maintenant, traduites en 5 langues, elle est là. Et le but, c'était de se dire, ben voilà, quand on a créé au début des années 2000 l'encyclopédie, c'était de dire, ben, on veut supporter les gens qui prennent des décisions au niveau politique. On veut aider les gens qui travaillent concrètement à tous les jours au service à la petite enfance, les professionnels de la petite enfance. Et un peu l'idée, c'était, ben voilà, on vous met l'information dans cette encyclopédie, allez la chercher. Ce qu'on a appris beaucoup au fil des années, c'était que non, c'est pas assez de se dire, ben voilà l'information. Encore faut-il qu'elle soit accessible, qu'elle soit adaptée au contexte des gens qui ont besoin d'utiliser cette information-là tous les jours. Et donc, cette information, on sait aujourd'hui on ne peut pas faire ça seul. Il faut s'unir à des experts qui ont d'autres expertises que nous pour s'assurer que cette information soit utile, soit utilisée et ait vraiment un impact sur nos pratiques. Donc, c'est dans cet esprit qu'on s'ouvre depuis quelques années à dire bien, comment on peut s'assurer de bien répondre avec des partenariats, comprendre quels sont les besoins que vous avez, comment on peut traduire autrement l'information qui se trouve dans l'encyclopédie et vous la transmettre. Et c'est dans cet esprit, ce qu'on est sûr dans ce que l'on fait avec l'encyclopédie, c'est qu'on n'est pas les meilleurs pour innover ou utiliser des nouvelles technologies. Donc, on s'est ouvert il y a quelque temps à qui sont les experts en nouvelles technologies et, entre autres, nos collègues de Story Park ont cette expertise que nous n'avons pas. Et je laisserai peut-être Peter introduce... oui, je suis allée trop vite. Donc, l'information de l'encyclopédie est là pour soutenir la prise de décision à différents niveaux. Et voilà, en complémentarité, je vais te laisser Peter. Ah oui, les problèmes. Oui. Donc, il y a des choses qu'on se dit, mais pour mieux répondre avec la réflexion des 2 jours de conférence qu'on a, mieux répondre à ces questions de comment mieux soutenir les familles, comment favoriser ces collaborations, on a besoin de travailler en partenariat, on a besoin d'ajuster les choses. Et donc, c'est ce qu'on entend beaucoup aussi, ça passe beaucoup par les relations que l'on tisse, que les parents, bien sûr, tissent avec leurs enfants, que les professionnels de la petite enfance tissent avec les familles, mais aussi entre nous, que nous ayons des relations qui nous permettent, signifiantes, basées sur la confiance, mais qui nous permettent de transmettre l'information. Donc, c'est dans ce contexte qu'on travaille avec les gens de Story Park.
So, this is my daughter. Her name is Kira. She's 7 months old today. My mother-in-law, her name is Jennifer. She lives in Boston, Canada. My mother-in-law would like to see photographs of Kira every... Is that better? Yeah. Okay. I will repeat. So this is my daughter, Kira. She is 7 months old. And my mother-in-law would like to see photos of Kira every hour of every day. She lives in Ottawa, and it's hard to have family that live on the other side of the world. The people that matter most to my daughter include people from all over the place. So how do we, as a family, work in a cohesive way with the support of all of the people that are important to Kira? We need to share photos and videos, but we don't want to use Facebook for that, because Facebook would own all of that information. And I want to know that I'm creating a safe future for Kira online, so that when she turns 18, there's not some unknown images that travel with Facebook. Instead, we have ownership of those things. So we use Story Park. And I really liked Sue's comment before, the idea that when you welcome a child into an early childhood service, you actually enroll a whole family. Story Park is built around the child at the center of the experience. We try to solve 3 problems. One problem is to build understanding of the child. Another is to build the connections around the child. And the third is to support the capability and the confidence of the people around the child. So Story Park is a software platform. It's cloud-based. It works on Apple and Android. You do not have to have the latest technology to use Story Park. You can use it within your program. It starts with the family, and the family can create a Story Park community, and they can record the development that is important to them as a family. And that development will travel with their child. For Kira's case, we went through IVF, and so Kira's Story Park community started with a Petri dish and a photograph of a blastocyst. So that is so early, and that will travel through into early childhood and then into school. And we choose what we want the early childhood centre to see and what we want the school to see. But when Kira's portfolio travels with her, that means that the centre, all of the work that has happened and all of the things that are important to Kira can be seen by the next place of where she goes. So for me as a parent, I can invite grandparents and family. I can invite speech language therapists or other specialists or professionals to be involved in carers' community. When carer starts at an early childhood centre, we can invite that centre, and that early childhood centre would be able to see all of the learning that we have documented at home, the relationships that are important to our family, and any contributions from specialists that might have occurred. That centre would obviously have a group of educators, and they would be able to see that information. And maybe that centre is part of a wider network or a wider organisation, and they would be able to support that centre as well. When the child leaves that centre, this portfolio of the child's learning stays with the parent. It's owned by the parent. It's not owned by Story Park. And so the parent can continue to access and contribute to this. And when the child goes to school, they can invite the primary teacher to be able to see the learning prior to that. Story Park is used in about 7,000 early childhood services now in 32 countries. About 65% of all early childhood services in New Zealand use Story Park, and about 40% of all early childhood services in Australia use Story Park. One of the easy ways to think, if they say a picture paints 1,000 words, well, a video paints even more. So if you want to help it shift the parent's thinking and the questions that a parent might ask in that invaluable time when you have pick up or drop off of the child, if you could change the question from, why are my child's clothes dirty, to what were they learning in that activity and why were they learning that, then if you only have 3 to 5 minutes with a parent at pick up or drop off, it really matters what you talk about. So if you could change the questions, then you will change the conversation, and over time you will change the outcome for the child. So if we can give better awareness for the parent of what's happening in early childhood, we can build better appreciation for the value of the work that's happening, and we can also help build the knowledge of the parent so that they can ask these questions. And that's part of what we're able to do with the partnership with the encyclopedia, is bring some of that knowledge directly to parents. This is my niece Quincy. Quincy and I went to the park a wee while ago, and I noticed that Quincy was really into climbing. And so I took some photos in the Story Park app, and I used some artwork to be able to put over the top of the photographs. Now, these are mechanisms that are familiar to parents. They use it in other kind of social media, but what Story Park's done that's different is curate the mechanisms so that the things that we encourage parents to observe about their child are things like strengths and emotions and relationships and things that are useful for parents to be thinking about in the development of their child. The next day, I'd said to Quincy, have you ever been climbing? If you like climbing, maybe we should go rock climbing. And she'd never been rock climbing. So we went and I took this photo, and if you can see at the very top there, that's Quincy. She's 4. She's really into rock climbing. She loved it. She went straight up to the top. So I took this photo. Well, I didn't take the photo. I was belaying. Somebody else took the photo. And I put the artwork first to the top. So when the teacher gets this post on Monday, not only do they know what Quincy did in the weekend, but also they can see, because of these mechanisms, that it was the first time, and that who the uncle is, and then they could engage with me if they wanted to. So it changes the conversation. When you are documenting things digitally, instead of using printed portfolios, you can start to analyze the information. So if I was to say, how are you delivering the curriculum for boys compared to girls at your early childhood service, and you were using printed portfolios, that would be difficult research for you to do. But with Story Park, you can look at the reports and see the analysis of the work. Within Story Park, we also have a portfolio for each teacher as well as each child. So the teacher portfolio is a place where you can have professional development and mentoring and work with your director to build the capacity and skills and confidence for yourself as an educator. So Story Park is useful for a variety of transitions. So the transition from before early childhood into an early childhood service, as the child goes from one room to another within that service, from one early childhood service to another, and then from early childhood into school. And in all of these circumstances, to build trust with not only the child, but also with the parents, because you're able to understand the context and relationships that are important to that child, is so important in being able to provide a good transition process for the child.
Coming back to the encyclopedia, now I'm going to switch in English for the benefit of our conversation so we can interact a little bit more, Peter and myself. So, you know, we were looking for some ways of making sure that the information of the encyclopedia was used more. So within the Story Park, you can choose, when you access it, you can choose different content. You call them the learning sets. And now the encyclopedia, the information of the encyclopedia has been included within the app. So that means that when you enter Story Park and you have those wonderful pictures of your niece climbing something, and you want to share information from the professional's point of view, you may want to look and what kind of information can I share with parents, right? So you go to the encyclopedia's learning set, and then it's maybe really very small, but what we have done, we have divided the information of the encyclopedia in different sections. And so if you are interested in sharing some information about brain development to parents, and you had that wonderful pictures of a child doing something great at the park or whatever, you have those tags of information that you can choose and tag on your picture. And those tags come from the encyclopedia. And there's also you can also go back to the encyclopedia to read a little bit more. So it was a way for us to make sure that we could support professional development with using a new tool. So you can access this information, you can share it to parents, and parents receive, that knowledge that Peter was talking about. That is so important. Of yes, factual things like what did he do today, or did he sleep well, but also what has he learned. So this is a way of bringing that back to parents again and engaging that conversation, and making also the parents seeing that precious work that is done within the early childhood education centers, and making them proud again of their child. Sorry about my English. You.
So if I was an early childhood educator and I was creating an observation about a child, I could choose, you can see on the right, I can choose the tags that I want to use. And each tag has a description of what that element of curriculum means. Because if I say the word measurement, like I know what measurement is and you know what measurement is, but we might have different definitions of that word. And so if we are to empower parents to be able to work with us, then we need to have a shared understanding of the element of curriculum. So these descriptions, although they're simple, they're very powerful. So for me as a parent, when I'm sent an observation, I would be able to see the link that associates with this observation. And just to give you an example, there's an organisation in Australia called Good Start. Good Start have about 650 sites across the country, and they did a 3-month pilot of Story Park in 30 centres before deciding to implement Story Park more widely. And they contacted me at the end of that pilot, and they'd done an evaluation with parents and a separate evaluation with the educators. And they said that they were deciding to implement Story Park. Some of the things they were looking for in their evaluation was, did Story Park help improve family engagement? And they had found that. Did Story Park improve time and productivity? And they found that. They said the thing that they unexpectedly saw in this evaluation was their educators becoming more motivated in their work. And the reason that the educators were more motivated was because the parents were clicking on these tags, reading about the element of learning, coming into the centre and saying, I'm so sorry, I had no idea how much work you actually put into my child. Thank you so much. You mentioned gross motor skills. Can you tell me more about that? And so for the educator, you're like, finally. And that made a big difference. So that was a good example to see. So now with the encyclopedia, we have these tags that parents can see, and they can actually go and learn more about brain development as it associates with play, and from an authority that is one of the world's best resources in this area. Out of interest, here are some of the other evaluation results that Good Start experienced as part of that pilot. And I won't read them out to you, you can read for yourself, but certainly to have seen this within a 3-month period was very good results. out of interest, just to show you some examples, so in the time that we have had a partnership with the encyclopedia, the most commonly used tag within the encyclopedia was brain development in relation to playing and interacting. So right now, the encyclopedia learning set is used in 4 countries every day, and the most commonly used aspect of encyclopedia that educators are linking to help parents understand is brain development, playing and interacting. I thought that was kind of interesting to see, because we're not testing educators, there's no question here, this is just what they want, and so it's data from that. So why are we doing this? This is, why does Story Park exist? This is my family. I'm the oldest of 4 children. My dad is a psychologist, my mum is an early childhood teacher, and my brother Jeff, he was born a bit differently to some other children, so he has a variety of learning difficulties and he doesn't speak. We went to the same school, but he had a very different learning journey, and so I remember my mum being very frustrated in a particular transition that happened for Jeff, because the speech language therapist changed and mum had to re-explain all of Jeff's disabilities to the new speech language therapist, and she said, why can't these people talk to each other? And it wasn't the speech language therapist's fault. No, it was nobody's fault. Everybody was doing the best that they could do in the time and the resources that they had. But I thought, imagine if you could have a portfolio that traveled with the child and created a more cohesive and continuous experience for those people who are coming in and out of the child's life at different times. And so that's one of the reasons I'm passionate about Story Park and why we've taken the direction that we have. One of the unusual things about Story Park is, out of the 4 founders of Story Park, all of our mothers are early childhood teachers. So we kind of made a website for our mum, and then it got quite popular. We are a purpose-led organisation rather than a profit-led organisation, and so when we think about what we design and who we work with, we come back to this purpose. We have intentionally built an advisory group of some really experienced educators from around the world, Dr. Edward Malhewish from Oxford University, Dr. Charles Pascal from University of Toronto, Dr. Anne Mead from New Zealand, Dr. Joss Nuttall from Australia. So when we build new features in Story Park, we don't just build what a teacher asked us to build, we think about what behaviours we want to encourage more of in the world, and then we try and build features that encourage those things. Story Park is free for families to use forever. We want to ensure we don't create any further inequity in the way that we create Story Park. We also provide Story Park free forever for any service that anywhere in the world that works in a vulnerable community. So my invitation to you is, if you work with early childhood services in vulnerable communities, let us know. We'd love to help. We're also continually investing everything we do in making the impact greater of Story Park. So what's next for us? We're working on thinking about how we can involve and map the child's developmental trajectory more within Story Park, with contributions from the community around the child, and so that we can help provide resources and support for both educators and for families. And so we're doing some work with people, and I know there's a lot of fantastic researchers in this room, and so if you have an interest in mapping children's developmental trajectories at a population level, maybe we can have a conversation. And then I hand to you.
Well, mainly our discussion and our presentation was about, presenting a partnership that was not maybe natural at the very beginning, but I guess this is the way, and when we talk about innovation, is trying new things. So of course, we want to make sure that, partnerships can come around, and so on the long term, we're looking for different partnerships, and we invite you to find partners within your community, because we learn a lot from different experiences.
So in terms of the long-term, the outcomes of Story Park, ultimately we want to support more confident and capable communities around children. We want to create safer digital futures for children in the world, and we want to create more cohesive lifelong learning journeys for children. And so we hope that we might be able to work together we're already working with some different folks in this room, but we're certainly open to collaboration and other opportunities. So thank you for your time, and we'll see you. We welcome any questions that you might have.
Rouge, voilà, Pascal Marot de Suisse. Je trouve votre outil extrêmement intéressant et je suis bien sûr pour la collaboration entre tous les acteurs autour de l'enfant. Mais j'ai une question concernant les familles défavorisées parce que dans certains contextes, mais j'imagine que vous en avez fait l'expérience, tout le monde n'a pas ni le temps ni l'accès à ce genre d'outils, même si tout le monde est branché maintenant. Et j'ai peur que ça crée un gap encore plus grand entre certains types de familles qui auraient la chance d'être allés faire de l'escalade le week-end, alors que l'autre pas, parce qu'ils font rien le week-end. Et puis, il y aurait des familles qui auraient plein de choses à échanger avec les enseignants ou les personnels de crèche, et puis d'autres pas du tout. Et puis, ouais, j'ai un petit doute par rapport à ça, par rapport à accentuer la différence plutôt que la resserrer. Puis ça, c'est ma question. Puis l'autre, c'est une remarque, mais c'est un peu le même genre. Aussi une petite crainte. Je trouve que l'enfant a aussi droit à sa vie privée. Et puis à faire des choses à l'école qu'il n'a pas envie forcément que tout le monde le sache, et vice-versa. Je fais exprès un peu l'avocat du diable, mais il y a vous avez tous vécu ça, votre enfant qui ne veut pas vous raconter ce qu'il a fait à l'école. Puis plus ils grandissent, souvent plus c'est le cas. Puis là, voilà, comment vous gérez ces bulles, finalement ce que fait l'enfant avec son grand-père, finalement, ça peut rester entre eux. Et puis si chaque fois on illustre ça, voilà, c'est un outil qui m'a fait un petit peu peur. Merci.
Okay. Missy, you're right. So if you have zero access to technology, then that is an issue, and I can't argue with that. At the very start of Story Park, we went to see how it would work in the vulnerable communities in New Zealand. And so we intentionally did some experiments, and we found that for families that they didn't have a computer in the home, often they did have a smart device. Not always. Sometimes they would not have a computer and not have a smart device. And in some situations, they would come in and visit in the Early Childhood Centre and use the computer in the Early Childhood Centre. And that actually created opportunities to work with the families in other ways, as well as just that. Sometimes they would go to the library if they had access to that, or to the neighbour's house. But ultimately, if there was no access to technology and no opportunities, then people were printing from Story Park and then still using the printing. So there's one point, but you're right. There is a barrier to a technology platform. From the child's point of view, I think it's really important to give ownership to the guardian of the child, and there is a responsibility for that person to choose who is part of the child's community. We do not try and encourage big groups. This is not a social network. You can't find your friends. You can't see who else is online. These are small, like usually 3 to 6 people around a child. And so that is the group that is the information might be shared with. But ultimately that group is decided by the parent. At this age, because the child, we're mostly working from 0 to 6. So yeah, we've tried to give the autonomy to the family to make the decision on what works for their family.
Là, vous m'entendez? Oui, je me pose les mêmes questions que madame. J'ai écouté avec beaucoup d'intérêt. Alors, autant j'entends que si votre frère avait un dossier important de handicap, il y avait besoin de passer des informations, mais je pense qu'on peut passer des informations autrement que par Story Park. Et puis, alors, les parents qui confient leurs enfants souvent au travail, ils sont débordés. Si le temps qu'ils ont de libre, ils regardent sur leurs outils numériques connectés ce qu'a fait l'enfant, moi, je préfère qu'ils soient avec l'enfant. Et puis, peut-être vous pouvez par contre passer des supports photos de quelques séances, il y a eu un petit pique-nique, quelque chose, et on en discute un peu avec l'enfant. Mais d'inciter finalement les parents à être sur leurs outils connectés pour voir ce que l'enfant a fait avec les professionnels de petite enfance, je vois pas. Et je pense aussi que ça peut poser des problèmes. Par exemple, je sais pas moi, ils voient sur la vidéo ou la photo que, je sais pas, peut-être l'enfant est un petit peu à part, on a l'impression, mais ils n'ont pas le contexte, ils n'ont pas l'avant, ils peuvent vous interpeller en disant « mais lui, il n'a pas fait, je vois que les autres, ils touchent ». Par exemple, le petit qui est debout, là, lui, il ne participe pas. Vous voyez, ça peut, pour certains parents un peu revendicateurs, un peu anxieux, etc., poser des problèmes. Et puis, ils vont se soucier de regarder de plus en plus par outil numérique interposé ce qui se passe. Peut-être, ça peut être anxiogène, ils peuvent se poser des questions pour certains enfants. Alors, par certains parents, je pense que l'enfant est à la crèche dans le structure, c'est bien. Le parent, il est à son travail. Il y a le passage des informations au moment où il va chercher l'enfant. Après, qu'une fois de temps en temps, il y a un pique-nique, il y a une fête, et puis qu'il y ait des photos, il y a des petites choses qui circulent, je trouve ça bien. Mais là, de le faire comme ça, et effectivement, il y a la différence entre les parents qui vont dire « Ah, mais t'as vu, ils ont fait ça, j'ai eu toutes les photos », et lui, il n'aura pas d'ordinateur, il n'aura pas de... Enfin, voilà, je ne comprends pas l'intérêt de ces parents débordés. Il faut les pousser à passer du temps d'interaction avec leurs enfants et pas à les pousser à aller sur les outils numériques, à regarder comment l'enfant a planté la carotte. Enfin, voilà, je m'excuse, mais...
Je dirais, je répondrais, bien sûr, c'est un outil qui utilise les nouvelles technologies, juste pour nous ramener, enfin, dans le pourquoi, on veut s'assurer, et pour nous, c'est un test, et à la base, l'encyclopédie, c'est un outil de recherche et qui permet de transmettre les meilleures données. On essaie d'innover, mais bien sûr, c'est quelque chose de différent, mais c'est un test, on essaie, on va voir, et je pense que dans un processus d'évaluation continue, il faudrait... Toutes ces questions que vous posez, ce sont des questions louables, et si on veut être rigoureux, il faut pouvoir regarder ces impacts. Mais en fait, l'exemple bien humble qu'on vient vous présenter, c'est comment deux univers de la science et de ces nouvelles technologies peuvent s'unir et essayer des choses. Mais pourquoi? Dans un but précis, de communiquer de l'information entre les milieux, d'essayer de voir si on peut soulever le sentiment de compétence parentale, mais votre hypothèse, c'est qu'on pourrait davantage nuire, il faudrait mesurer. Je pense dans un esprit de rigueur, c'est un peu cette idée d'être chercheur et nouvelles technologies ensemble. Mais bien sûr, c'est un outil qui utilise, mais c'est pas, on s'entend, c'est pas nécessairement l'enfant qui utilise, lui, l'écran, mais un partage de communication, mais qui utilise cet outil. Est-ce qu'il y a d'autres other comments? Oh.
I think to add to that, sometimes people say, oh, but we don't want this to replace the interaction between the parent and the educator. And we say, of course, you should never try and replace that interaction. But if you could improve the interaction and change the question in the conversation, then that would be good. I'll give you an example. There was an educator that told us a story. So there was a mother that was not a confident mum. She had some mental health challenges, and she used to bring her child to the early childhood centre and kind of push the child through the door and shut the door and leave as quickly as she could. And the teachers had tried all sorts of things to welcome her and build a relationship with her, and it hadn't really been effective. And then they started to use Story Park, and they could see that she was looking at the observations, but she wasn't really participating. So they asked her a question and said, what did you do in the weekend? And she said, I went to the zoo. And they said, oh, did you take any photos? And she did, and she shared the photos. And the educator said, I think your child, there was some really good learning happening there. What a great thing to do as a mother. And the mother said, oh, you think I'm a good mother? I said, well, of course. That's a great thing to do with the child in the weekend. And the mother kind of went, oh. And then the mother would comment a little bit more, and then they would start a dialogue. And the mother was not a confident person, but I think the barrier was the initial face-to-face relationship. when they were able to build trust, then for this mother, she started to come into the early childhood centre more often, and this organisation called us and said, even if Story Park had done nothing else, it totally changed the relationship that we could have with that one mother, and that's enough for Story Park. So I think there's, we're not trying to change the relationship that exists, we're trying to support and provide new opportunities to what's possible.
This isn't research, but it might lend itself to some sort of research project. But there's a large center in Ottawa, multi-site center, that's been using Story Park, and they're quite convinced that overall parents are spending more time engaged with their kids in the evening, playing games, playing out, continuing on some of the play episodes they've seen on the Story Park. So I think it's been exactly the opposite. It's not that they're sitting at the screen looking at it, they're playing with their kids more. And that's anecdotal, but I think it'd be something really worthwhile following up on.
There's a centre in Melbourne in Australia called the Royal Children's Hospital, and they are an early childhood service for the parents that work in that hospital, so doctors and nurses and people. And so those people work shifts, and they work long hours, and emergencies happen, and sometimes they might spend 10 hours at work, and their child is at the centre for a long time. And so they don't get to spend as much time with their child as they would like to because of their job. And so after using Story Park for a year, the Royal Children's Hospital surveyed the parents and said, do you think we should keep using this? Is it good? And some of the parents said, I feel like I'm a better parent because I know what's important to my child now where I didn't before. Because often when we were talking at the end of the day, everyone was tired. We went home, we had dinner, we went to bed. There wasn't as much time. And now I have some insights to what I will do in the weekend. And that's what I do in the weekend with my child. And my child loves it because that's what they're interested in right now. And we're kind of working in a more immediate and responsive way. And so those parents from the Royal Children's Hospital in Melbourne said that they felt more confident, and they said they didn't want the centre to take away Story Park.
Alors écoutez, c'est la fin, on me fait signe qu'on n'a plus de temps, mais juste vous dire que le but, encore une fois, c'était de vous présenter une manière de collaborer différente, puis on est heureux de vous l'avoir présenté, puis on est heureux aussi de répondre à vos questions individuelles après la présentation. Alors, c'est l'heure de la fête, c'est l'heure d'aller vers les châteaux. Le château, enfin, il y a les châteaux, on peut aller un peu à l'extérieur, mais je ne sais pas s'il pleut, mais le souper se passe, le dîner se passe à l'intérieur. Bon appétit et bonne continuité.